Staying positive and being optimistic ahead of your visa interview is non-negotiable. You must be able to win that mental battle even before you step foot in that interview room. And trust me, this will increase your chances of acing that interview you have been preparing for days, for weeks, and for months, or even for years. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my platform. My name is Kweku Ediama Anza, and what I do on this platform is basic. I try to analyze the various topics that I select for you by investigating or researching on the topics, and also making sure that I update you with the current standings with regard to any type of visa questions that have been mind-boggling for you and you want a breakdown of that. So today I'm talking about one important thing that I think helps for you to ace your visa interview, and that is to talk about being optimistic or being very confident even before you get on that day and head into that interview room. But before I get into it, I want you to take a few seconds of your time to subscribe to my channel, okay? Hit on that red subscription button so that it can be subscribed, and real quick or in time you would have access to all the videos that I'll be putting out there. And also hit on that notification button, especially if you know that you need some sort of breakdown into the topics that I treat on here, and share with people. Very important, because there are a lot of people who need to understand all these topics, understand the tenets of it, and know how to play around it and have their visas approved. Okay, so let's get straight into it. If you're done with subscribing, you're done. Let's head into it now. So 4 things that I have outlined, and I think that will go a long way to making you being optimistic and staying positive even before that interview itself. First off is for you to believe in the documents that you're going to present to the interviewer on that day. Prior to your interview, I'm sure you may have watched some of the videos that I have put out there talking about the documents you need for the visa category that you're applying to. If you're applying for school, your I-20, your admission letter, your sponsorship if you have scholarship, bank statements if you need to sponsor it yourself, and I mean a plethora of documents that you think would help prove that your case is worth it and that you should be giving your visa. Also, if you're going to be a tourist either in the US or any foreign national country, you would get all the documents that makes you in good standing, you know, to have access to that country. So all these preparations that you do, the documents that you gather, letters from your company, if it's a company that is sponsoring you or is asking you to go on maybe a conference, whatever reason they're asking you to go, all these documents must be put together, and you must be confident about it. What makes you confident about your documents? If you know that you have the right documents, if you've been able to check all the list, you know, all the boxes on your list even before that interview date is due. You know, there are a lot of people, and for myself, for instance, before I went for my visa interview, I had watched videos, I had researched, I had spoken to my colleagues and people that matter in my situation, and I had prepared by getting all the documents that I needed to facilitate my travel. So what I did was that I had to do a checklist myself, just be taking all the boxes. If I have all the documents, I put them down and I make sure that they've been arranged properly and I understand the documents well. Once I had all these in place, all these checks, I was super confident that I was going to have my visa approved. even though, I mean, it could have gone a haywire, but I felt and I believed that I was going to have it approved because I had all the documents in place per my own checklist. So you need to have your documents ready and you must believe in them. Once you believe in the documents, it boosts your confidence. It makes you stay very optimistic prior to that interview itself, because you know that you have all the documents that are necessary to facilitate your travel. And so whenever you're asked any kind of document, you know you'll be able to produce it. If you want a breakdown of what kind of documents you need for what kind of visa category, please go back and watch some of my videos. I've talked about F1 visas, I've talked about B1, B2, I've talked about tourist visas and some other kind of visas. So you want to go back, refer to those videos and be sure you have that checklist down and you've ticked everything. Second is about you forgoing all the bad experiences you've had. There are certain people who may have gone for visa interviews several times. Okay, for me, it was a one-time thing for me, so I didn't have any bad experience. However, I mean, I had a bad experience traveling to another country, not to the US, you know, but with regard to the US visa interview itself, I was super confident because I didn't have any bad experience. I know there are certain people, and I have friends who may have gone for visa interviews at the US Embassy for maybe 4 times, and this is their 5th time or is their 2nd time, and so they have a bad experience at that place. They believe or they think that they were denied for no mean reason, and so what is the assurance that they're going to have their visas approved? You need to let go of all those bad experiences, because if you do not, it is going to haunt you. You know, when you have some sort of fear in you, it is hard for you to even express yourself. It's hard for you to believe that you could this time ace that thing you're going into, because you that past experience keeps haunting you and tells you that, oh, you did this and then you failed, so you could fail again. Why not let go of those experiences and believe that this time around it could go through for you? Because there are people who have also gone for visa interviews for 5 times, and on the 5th time, that is when they had their visas approved. You get it? So someone may go for the very first time and have it approved. Some will go for several times and have that visa approved. So you need to let go of that bad experience that you have been holding on to. After all, what do you lose by letting it go? So I entreat people to let that bad experience go so that you can focus on the new chapter of you. That is you going for your visa interview. However, remember to do all your checks, because the reason why you were denied, you should be able to review that and make sure that you have overcome that particular problem. I have done videos of that, of the responses we get with regard to denials. Pay attention to it. Don't think that it is just a generic thing that the US Embassy just gives out. Believe it and work towards it by correcting it, having all the right things that they want to see before you go into that next interview. Okay, let's go into the third part, which is I talk about the myths or the stories we hear, the bad stories we hear about visa interviews. It will be similar to the second point, that is your bad experiences. Some people may not have experienced bad receptions when they went into the visa interview themselves, but they may have heard of stories about that. I have put out, I think, a few stories about that where people had their visas refused. My whole motive is not to denigrate the fact that you can have your visa approved or to say that you fear the visa interview you're going into. It's just to correct the mistakes that these people did. But I like to channel my energy into positive things. That is to say that, okay, we've heard of people say that they were refused in previous interviews, but we've also seen people say that they were passed in their visa interviews. For instance, just take me as your sample. I went into my visa interview for the very first time, had my visa approved. How about that? Why don't you want to stick with mine and say that, well, it worked for me, so it could work for you too? But want to rather stick with people who talk about bad energies and say that your visas can be refused because theirs were refused. So, all these myths about it, the fact that, oh, the US itself has a number, like a quota of people that they want to take or admit into their country. It could be true, it could not be true. Nobody can emphatically say that it is true or false. So why not forgo all those things or let go of all those myths and theories surrounding visa interviews? I've heard people say that nobody goes to the US interview for the very first time and have it approved because the US doesn't want you to use them as their stepping stone, as in for your travel experience, for you to say, oh, the US was the very first place I went. How about me that I had my very first travel experience with the US? You get it? So it could be true, but it could be false. I think and I believe that if you have all the right documents and other stuff in place, you would have your visas approved. Now, before I get into the very final thing, I want you to subscribe again. Just take a few moments, okay? Let's subscribe, let's encourage me, and let's get this channel growing. It's been static for a while now. I'm trying to put in the work, so I expect you to also put in the work by subscribing, right? Do we have a deal? Yes, let's go back into it. So the final thing will be a little bit religious, and that's because I am religious. If you are someone who comes from Africa, if you come from the third world countries, we are quite religious. I mean, it may not work for the Westerners, but for me, it works for me. And I'm a Christian. I mean, if you're Muslim, if you're traditionalist, or any Buddhist and all of that, if you have any other religion that you belong to, there's something that you hold on to that makes you believe in that religion, and so you pray to that deity. And for me, I pray to God. And I believe that He makes all things beautiful. I believe that He can orchestrate things to go in your favor, in as much as you've put in all the effort. You need Him. So for me, the third part, I'm talking about having faith in God and believing that He will honor all the efforts that you've put into the processes. So before I went into my visa interview, I prayed a lot, not just because I wanted to travel, but generally I pray to God. I tell Him the things that I want. So, and I'm sure for any kind of religion, you also pray to your deity. You tell Him to protect you and give you money, help you, progress in life and all. So I prayed a lot, and I believed that He also honored my steps by making things a little favorable to me, making me get the right interviewer, and making my case be heard in a favorable way, and having my visa approved on the first try. So I tell people that if you pray harder. Tell God about it and tell Him to help you to maneuver this particular challenge. If you're a traditionalist or any kind of deity or religion that you're in, just try and then pray and at least present your supplications to that deity or to that God, and make sure that you have done your bit before you go into that visa interview. I hope these 4 things I have outlined would go a long way. And I want you to follow these steps, and trust me, you will have your visa approved. In my next episode, I'll be talking about what to do prior 24 hours to your visa interview, because I've seen people send me messages and say, okay, I've prepared a lot, I'm getting anxious, what do I do a day before my visa interview? We'll talk about that, okay? And I hope that you can subscribe and also understand all these things that come with its own pros and cons. Okay, thank you again for subscribing, and thank you for sticking with me. Let's grow this channel again, and I'll reiterate it, let's grow this channel. I'll see you in my next episode. I'll be outlining 4 steps that will be critical to you achieving this.